Hi everyone, this is Dr. Faryal Razzaq, and we are here with our series Listen to Expert. Today we are very happy that we have with us Lisa Herland, and she is the CEO of a very unique company called Herland, because she train women entrepreneurs, and these women entrepreneurs, she works on their mindset, on their personal growth, and then the soft skills. So Lisa has a double majors with economics and political science, and a minor with sociology. So, and she has worked 25 years with very brilliant names. So without much ado, I would like Lisa to tell her story. Welcome to the show, Lisa, and I hope you're feeling better because you had some health issues. So we had to defer the show. So welcome to the show, and I would like you to please give us a little bit of introduction about how you founded Herland and a little bit of your journey.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for such a warm welcome, and I'm doing well. So thank you for all your prayers and good wishes for me. So my journey really began, with most of us. I think it began with a traumatic childhood. So that did lead to some of the work that I did to initiate my, to start my company and get that off the ground. I started studying love. I was passionate about love from a young age. In my teens, I started being aware of, there's a man named Leo Buscaglia who authored many books about love, and he was actually a college professor. He taught a class about love, and that just blew my mind that this was something, to study, and it opened my eyes to really studying the human experience and just, understanding myself better so that I could function in the world better. And so I just started reading every philosopher and personal, self-help book and all of those things throughout my life. My studies in college were more about, and I think, you talk about this much in the work you do, but I didn't have a specific passion. I thought I wanted to teach, but I wasn't really connected with why. And I just thought, I'm supposed to go to school, and I guess I'll just give myself a general education. So I studied economics, politics, sociology, just not really for a purpose, but just to get my education. Went into business. I kind of followed the path of like what I should do, or, the kind of the logical path of what came before me and opportunities. And in the corporate world, I found that so much of what was in the way of people's performance, both, quality wise and, sales performance and those types of things, came down to personal issues that they were dealing with that were in the way, or taking things personally that customers said to them. And so I became very, very passionate about coaching through my corporate experience. Briefly, in starting my business, what happened was I lost my job in November of 2018 after 25 years in a similar career path. And I lost a family member that I was very close to. I just went through some grief, had just kind of felt like things were kind of crumbling, and it caused me to take a look at my life and think, I've always had this dream and this passion for helping people. And I've learned so much about and grown so much myself that I want to pass that on. So now's the time. So that's what led to me starting my business. I really started at the beginning of this year, but that was the seed of what got me to start the business. So,
and that's very empowering, actually. And you have worked with big names. You have worked with eBay, Hyundai, and so many more. Tell us about that. You have been like coaching there, and what were you doing there? I mean, 25 years experience is a lot, So tell us a little bit about your corporate experience also.
Yeah, my corporate experience was all of that was at a senior level managing contact centers. And so mostly service, but sales and service throughout that 25 years. And yeah, for, Hyundai, eBay, PayPal, Wayfair, and Taylor, some definitely very respectable companies. And so I was basically the business owner. I did everything: hiring, firing, I project management, coaching, performance management, budget management. I did kind of all of it. But
wow.
What I was passionate about. What's that?
That's jack of all, right?
Yeah, it was challenging, and my tendency to be a workaholic in those days and find my worth. It's one of the things that I really reflected on through my career, was my worth was what I did for other people and what I accomplished. And so I was just perfect for the corporate world that sometimes will take as much as you'll give. I'll put it that way. But in that process, though, what I was so passionate about is realize, well, as I did my own work to disconnect my worth and my identity from what I accomplished, I realized that everybody at all levels within the business are struggling with those same things. And, and with customer service, there's, you talk a lot about empathy in the studies that you do. And that's one, I think, the most important skill in the work that I did and the coaching I did. But when people are not compassionate with themselves, and when they are attached to meaning and they're assigning meaning to things, they tend to be reactive and kind of fight back with customers and withhold empathy. And that's what I found, was that if I coached on the personal level more than at a business level, that when we could break through what was in the way of their taking things personally and why they reacted so strongly, that then they could actually serve customers better and love their jobs more and be more happy to be there. And then that just improved results across the board. Their satisfaction was better, customer satisfaction was better, and results were better. So that was kind of the seed and the experience that led me to, like, what if I'm coaching women that are passionate about making a difference in the world, that have been suppressing their dream, prioritizing other people's needs, or like me, finding their worth in what they did, what they accomplished, or who they took care of, and they actually could ignite their own dreams. And so if I could help them get whatever was out of the way, how much impact I could indirectly have on the world by helping other women live on purpose, live in their passion. So that's the kind of the progression of how I made the decision to just take the leap of faith and launch my business.
Amazing, amazing. And this is what we actually need. And when I, heard the topic, I loved it. I mean, self-love as a path for resilience. And I would like to know, research has shown otherwise. Don't you think it was implicit that people will have self-love for themselves? I mean, why we have to teach self-love? I mean, shouldn't it be a norm? I mean, a normal thing to do, actually. So.
I wish. What I have found, or what I believe from what I've studied and my own observation, my own life living, is that I think self-preservation comes naturally, but I don't think embracing and loving ourselves and actually having a relationship with ourselves, I don't think it comes naturally. I mean, when you look at the world as a macrocosm of all of our individual relationships with ourselves, and you look at families, there's relationship breakdowns there, friendships, romantic relationships break down everywhere in life, in business, and in any relationship you look at, there are places where it breaks down. And so when you look at our relationship with ourselves, I think that's the core of why our external relationships break down, because I think it starts from just the human experience as children. Humans are not perfect, so our parents are not perfect. And as children, we have these various degrees of traumatic things. Some things are truly trauma, abuse, and those types of things. And some things are just perceived meaning as a 3-year-old or 4-year-old child, when, all of a sudden the world changes and you say, like, something is wrong here, So I think we carry, and the way our brains work to keep us safe, which to our brains means comfortable and known and familiar. So we have these stories that we're tied to and meaning that we've assigned about ourselves. Every human I've ever met has a story. Some of us have cleared those stories, but we all have one. I think it just is part of this journey, that we have made meaning out of something that happened to us in the past, and we made it mean it's a few basic stories we have. I'm not worth it. I'm not lovable. I'm not capable. And those stories we have evidence from the past that that's true because of what happened to us. Like, my dad wouldn't have abandoned me if I was worth it. And, so I wouldn't have been beaten if I was, lovable. And, we carry those, we make that mean that about us. And then we carry it into every relationship, every workplace we go into. We don't show it to the world. We don't let everybody else see that we don't love ourselves. But we now are looking for evidence that that's true. And so I think we just put ourselves in situations where we don't feel worthy, where other people are more important than us. I mean, I did it with my job was more important than my health, than my relationships. I compromised so many things because I felt this pressure of I have to look good. I have to, please people. I have to show my worth. I have to, succeed. So I think that's the heart of it, is that, no, I think that our relationships with ourselves need to be healed before we can really give fully what we have to express in the world.
Definitely. And let's come about resilience. I mean, especially that after the COVID hit and this pandemic has given us, and the people are calling it a post-COVID world. So it is going. The things have changed. A lot of dynamics has changed, and certainly, mental health and emotional intelligence and resilience, resilience has come to the forefront. I mean, the basic skills now. So I'm very curious, like once you're talking about the linkage between the self-love and the resilience, because it's very interesting. I would like to know the depth and details about the connection about the self-love and the resilience part, please.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so when I think about resilience, and emotional resilience is really all of any other resilience we have starts with emotional resilience. So it's really that our ability to get back up. And so I think what knocks us down, like you mentioned, external circumstances. So, COVID has been in probably all of our lifetimes, the most impactful, massive change we've all experienced, and it's global. So we're all in it. And it just, and at that level, it feels scarier than any other external circumstance we've faced globally. Now, individually in different countries, and we've, you have natural disasters, and there's been all kinds of other things that have impacted certain people's lives. But so the world has always been uncertain. It's no more uncertain or less uncertain today than it was before COVID. It just has awakened us at a level of uncertainty that I think has us unsettled in this unfamiliar place on a more energetic level where we all are experiencing it. So again, resilience, what knocks us down is external circumstances, things completely outside of our control. The other, and that I also include in that category, other people's behavior. That's an external circumstance, not as impactful as COVID, but certainly, if we're in a relationship with someone, how that person behaves, someone leaves us, we're heartbroken, we lose a job, we're grieving. So those are things sometimes that we don't have control over as well. And then the thing that I have observed that actually, even in normal times, let's say pre-COVID, but even now I'm seeing it too. We are knocked down. We sabotage ourselves more than anyone else or any other circumstance can ever hurt us with our own thoughts. And so if I assign meaning to anything, I'm now giving it power, and instead of looking to where I do have power. So I don't have power to change COVID. I can make my personal choices to keep myself safe. But so if I'm looking at, okay, where's my power? For instance, when I started my business and then COVID hit, I had about a week where it rocked me. It threw me like, well, maybe I shouldn't do this, and where's security? And I want to kind of grasp for that known, instantly, just like our brains do. They go back to trying to keep us safe and back to the familiar. And so there's, when with self-love and with the ability to be aware and to discern is it in my control and what isn't? And then when I choose what is in my control and I put my focus there, I have more power now. I'm at the cause of creating my life. I'm not at the mercy of anything outside of me. I mean, we are, we can live or not in this circumstance. We can choose that. But if this is just the way it is now, what do I have the power to create? So I'm going to focus and choose and focus my awareness, my efforts, and my power on where I have the ability to create in my life. And when I do that, I can still have a great life despite what's going on around me. So, when I tie it to resilience, it's really having the skills, the awareness, the tools, practices, the awareness and the willingness to choose what's in my power, to love myself enough to give it to myself. And, that no matter what I may feel or may be affected by, that I can always go back to that powerful path that I am in charge of, that I do have the ability to choose.
And Lisa, this always intrigues me, and you're a researcher, and we share a common passion between us. Why it is so difficult to love yourself? I mean, self-love. I mean, it's a hard job actually, and we either see something, at the continuum of narcissism. I mean, people, go beyond, to a disorder actually. So why it's hard to, keep a balance? I mean, a healthy self-love, and I would call an unhealthy self-love that would go towards narcissism and other personality disorders. So why it is such a hard job?
I think it's such a hard job, and I actually think narcissism is part of this. I think it's such a hard job because we are so tied to our stories of self-worth. So when what happened to us is traumatic, it's logical that we responded as we did as a child. And to now as an adult, we've been carrying that same story that the 3-year-old, the 5-year-old decided to keep us safe, and it was logical. We weren't to blame. I think there's a tendency when we take responsibility to confuse that with blame or fault. Like, I have to be wrong. I have to say I did it wrong in order to be responsible. And for me, when I separated the two and thought, okay, that happened, everything I did up to now was logical and it's fine and nothing wrong here. But now I can choose, I'm not going to believe that story that 3-year-old, made up to survive. I'm going to consciously choose that this is a line in the sand I'm drawing. That story no longer serves me, and I'm not going to believe it about myself. So when I give up and when I take responsibility, when I did personally, I can tell you my story of what specifically happened for me. But when I took responsibility that what happened to me, people made mistakes, people did hurtful things, and they didn't do things that they should have, and all their part in it, the adults in my life. And I made that mean that I was unworthy and unlovable. And because I am the one who made up that story, I have the power to change that story. And when I chose that and changed that story, it was literally like it was a change in my life and a choice because of how powerful I felt and how good I felt when I did that it's like, I get to choose what's true for me. And it was such a freedom that I kept doing it. I looked for all the places where I could take responsibility in my life because that was my power. Now, if I don't blame you, now who gets to change the story? Me. I'm not a victim to whatever you did to me anymore. And I think narcissism, I think people that are narcissists are still hanging very tightly to those stories of unworthiness, but it's the relationship I think we all have with shame. Shame is regret that we want to hide. We were resisting it instead of like, you know what, this happened. I feel ashamed. Acknowledge it, and now own it and say, and now I'm letting it go. It's not happening now. And I think that narcissists are people who they're covering up the fact that they have a story instead of actually healing that story. So there's a relationship there, but the actual, process of self-love for me is just having a relationship with myself. It's the, when we think about how we relate to other people, we communicate, we make requests, we are kind, we are respectful, we value their autonomy, we, we think about the things that would delight them, and we want to do nice things for them. We pay attention. We know what they're, we pick up on those hints. We know what their favorite meals are. We want to spend time with them. We listen to them. It's all those relationship building things. It's just giving those to ourselves. And we don't spend the time doing that. We're so outwardly focused, and especially women in the world, I believe, as nurturers, as birthers, as, caretakers, we kind of naturally and within society learn to find our worth outside of ourselves. So we say we don't have time to have our own relationship with ourselves, when it's really the most important foundation of everything we do.
Absolutely, and this is very important. And the first thing is, what would you suggest that if somebody wants to start the self-love, how would you suggest them? What is the first, step that they can take? Where to start, before they go into another, dilemma of becoming narcissist, and that's a trauma response to what happened to their childhood, or the environment, or maybe it is genetic, or it's part genetic, it's part environment. So and we know that we can always change the things, even the past, and the way we approach the problems is the key to solutions, basically. So what is the place to start, actually, for the self-love?
So the simplest place to start is to spend, I'm a huge believer in meditation and in the value of that, but a lot of people are confused by it, intimidated by it, think they're going to do it wrong. My place to start would be just spend a few minutes of quiet time with yourself, just to get in touch with, and whether that's journaling or walking, or it doesn't have to look a certain way, but just to do that a little bit every day, to get in touch with yourself, to give that gift to yourself. And in the process of how to engage in building a relationship with yourself, I think that time is key throughout, like as a commitment to yourself, that there is some time that you're going to be, quiet and get into that awareness. The place that I start is actually the same place that you start in the work that you do with emotional resilience in business. And that is to get connected to why. And it's a little trickier because, like, why what? With personal development, it's kind of like, why have a relationship with myself? Why? And so what I go to is, okay, we're feeling bad. And we know when we're feeling bad, and our brains and our habitualness, we're very addicted to telling our stories of why we are feeling bad, what has gone wrong in our life, what's happening now that's so challenging, and kind of to justify and to what it does is it just keeps us in that place, and our focus is on why we feel so bad. So I don't want people, I don't want to think about that. That's just going to keep me rooted. So we don't start with how do I feel now and what do I want. I start with how do you want to feel? That discomfort of not feeling bad is actually a gift. It's our emotional guidance system telling us we're out of alignment, and there's a choice for us to make. So we can either, if we get stuck in it, it's hard to see it as a gift, for sure. I mean, when I'm in it, I have to remind myself, like, wait, Lisa, every bad thing, every hard time has served you. And this is just it's just like, a pain, a headache, a pain, it's just a little, a light flashing at you saying you're running out of fuel. It's just an alert system. So not feeling good is actually pay attention. So my first step
to what your body is trying to tell you, the emotion is trying to tell you.
Yes. Yeah. And so what's the emotion trying to tell me? But so we know the discomfort without even, you don't have to even visit why you feel bad, but just, what doesn't feel good about this? How do I want to feel is where I focus. That's the number one place to start. So anybody who's watching, if you're not feeling good, if a relationship's not working, if you are depressed, if the world is discouraging, I would start with, how do you want to feel? How would you prefer to feel? And get rooted to that. And then when you think about how you want to feel, the next thing is feed that. You want to feed that emotion. Like, imagine it. Imagine the world as you want it to be. Imagine your life as you want it to be, your relationship, your job, the dream job you wish you had. What's that look like? How do people treat you? How do you feel when you go to work? What kind of work, what kind of things are you doing that you love? How does it feel when you go home? What's the purpose of it? So you get into that vision so that you can actually feel what you want to feel, because that's the fuel. Where we're headed is the fuel. Where we've been just is like the quicksand. It kind of keeps pulling us back. So you don't want to look there. You want to look at where you want to go. So that's when, in those quiet times, I would suggest using that time to just envision as much as you can from where you are. You might not be able to see the ideal utopian world that you wish, because you kind of start getting like, well, how is that going to happen? And I don't really see that as possible. Don't go there. Just think about what would feel good. What would it look like where you can actually feel it and get in that moment? And then think about why do I want to feel that way? What is like, and I dig deep. I will ask at least, it's 5 to 7 times I'll dig when people say what they want to feel. Why do you want to feel that? What will that do for you? What would be different about your life if you could say, COVID's happening and I accept that, and I have to make some adjustments, sure, or I choose to, but every possibility still exists. That event happening did not take away what's possible in the world. And when I think about what's possible, I have a dream, and nothing changed that. It's still possible. What does my dream feel like? Why do I want it? What is it? And I just get myself immersed in it so that I have that inspiration, because that's where inspiration comes from. So that's the first step. Kind of wordy, but I'm so passionate about it. And if you talk about it, if you hear yourself talking about your past stories and the energetic, kind of like, oh, this happened and they wronged me and my mom did this and blah, 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 blah. Your energy go. And when you talk about, I envision a world where it works and everybody's kind to each other, and we have a cooperative world among all countries, and we're all seen as equals, and people are thriving and we take care of each other. You can just feel the energy of my vision uplifting versus like what we have now and focusing on the way it is. The way it is not what I want. I don't want to focus on that. And it's the same in my inner world as it is in the outer world. So that's the first step, is give yourself the time to actually envision and feel how you want to feel. That's the most important thing you can do for yourself.
I'm enjoying your talk so much, and it didn't know where the half an hour went. I mean, thank you so much. So we have few minutes left. So how soon to start this practicing self-love? Because I can totally relate to you that this self-love come to me very late, unless I did my PhD in emotional intelligence. I mean, that's where I thought that is how important it is to self-love. I mean, we have never been taught. I don't know about your part of the world. In our part of the world, this has never been taught as a subject or as something. Even our teachers are not emotionally intelligent. Our parents are not emotionally intelligent. So how soon to start this practice of self-love? I've been encouraging the young parents and those who are watching, and this is where you can change the world, change the way you think about it. I mean, as they say, nip the evil in the bud, you have to train people to be loving, empathetic, and kind people when they grow up. That's how you have a law-abiding, inclusive society. So how soon to start this practice of self-love?
Always. That's my answer. There's no time that's too soon. And, part of my passion, I definitely have always been passionate about helping women, and especially, but people achieve their dreams. But when we're living on purpose, we're setting the example for our children too. And when we're loving ourselves and how we talk to ourselves, when we don't have mothers who are saying I'm fat and I'm ugly and what to themselves that their daughters are hearing, or to allowing themselves to be treated in a way that's not loving, right? So like you said, if we are able to some of the adults like you and I who've figured it out over our lifetimes, if we can impact parents and teachers, that will help. The more of us that are out there to set the example and to demonstrate and show the way, then our children have those examples. I passionately believe that what we should be teaching in schools, that this should be core above anything else we learn. I mean, math, we can learn those things so easily, and actually our learning is opened up more when we're in that space of receptivity, when we're not I look at our past and all these things that drag us down as kind of strings, pulling us back. We can't be fully present to be as good as we are at anything we do, so including children with school and learning. So I definitely believe that this needs to be curriculum that's taught in schools, and that we have a massive campaign with teachers and anybody influencing children, parents as well, because if we can keep some of the damage from being done, and we have good examples of how to bounce back when things do go wrong, then we have children that are more resilient at a younger age. And what is possible if, it took me over 50 years to get to this point, right? So what's possible if, we have these wise children that know to love themselves and respect themselves, and that have that space that's uncluttered and unfettered with all these stories and the quicksand, and that just they have this space to create in, and that they know anything's possible, and that they know their power. I mean, wow, that's where I think we really have the chance to change this world, and what the mission really is to get the children learning this at an earlier age, so we're not unlearning. If we learn instead of having to spend our life unlearning before we're ready to receive this, it's so much more powerful.
That's absolutely true. This is why we call ourselves, emotion education evangelist, because this is what we are fighting for. That should be the core courses. I mean, children can learn skills, maths, English, languages, sciences, but to communicate effectively, to have interpersonal relationship. These are the lessons. So thank you so much, Lisa. I mean, I'm thoroughly enjoyed your candid talk. You opened up about your life and your experiences, and in the end I would like to say that it would also help that if you could have an avatar of your younger self, name it. So try giving them assurance. It's okay to feel that way. It isn't your fault if you were not loved. I mean, it's sometimes about them, the adults, that they did not resolve their emotional issues. So it's okay, because in your subconscious mind it's going to play big. If you tell that scared, unloved and unvalidated child, you can give them a name and just give them reassurance, the loving reassurance. Be the parent, be the person that you wanted, the friend you wanted at that time. Be to the avatar now. So that would help you a lot in removing the emotional baggage that you're carrying in your adulthood, the past experiences. And would be definitely having you again and again, Lisa, for more sessions. And it was wonderful having you here. And quickly, just a last message for the audience before we say adieu.
Yes, thank you so much. And I was going to say the same thing. I feel like I know that you and I have more work to do together, and I'm happy to come back anytime, because I feel like there's so much more to share too. So if that's a desire, I'd love to. How I would sum it up, and I agree with you completely. The healing that child and having conversations with her, I do that. I encourage people to have a picture of yourself when you're younger and talk to her. My framework is that I think everything we want as humans fits into 3 categories. We want freedom, power, and possibility. And by power, I don't mean control. I mean the power to create in our lives, that we are at the cause of our lives. Everything we want is that. And so, definitely in this journey of self-love and resilience, clearing the past, like you mentioned, healing that child, that's the freedom part. Get free from the past and everything that's in the way. Own and know our worthiness, that we have the power to and take a radical responsibility. There is some responsibility in this that has to be there to create what we want in our present, and then the possibilities that are in the future are wide open. And so I think that's what every human wants, that it fits into those three categories. And so that really is the framework of where the work we have to do is. It falls in, you know, am I free from the past? Okay, then am I owning my power in my present? And am I willing to see what's possible in the future? So that's what I encourage you to, you know, to kind of simplify, is just question, where am I in this process? Am I free? Am I powerful? Am I believing in possibility? And if any of those things are lacking, that's where to look. That's where to go shine the light and heal that space. So yeah, I so appreciate it. I also wanted to say, I want to offer, I'm certified in an energy clearing process that is so powerful. So talking and doing this work and clearing it is important, the coaching part of it and the deliberate work, but the subconscious work is amazing how much we can clear without trying and without talking. And in a half-hour session, I've had people have amazing results. So for any of your listeners, you have my email address. It's lisa@herland.love. If you email me, I'm happy to offer you a free energy clearing session. And we can also talk if there's other ways that we might work together, if I can support you in your journey.
I'm your first client. I'm your first client. And thank you so much for such a generous offer for my viewers. And definitely I'll put that in the description when I post the video. And thank you so much for this kind and timing and, you know, sharing your wisdom with us. So have that inner child so that the adult you right now could become more kind, more compassionate, and more empathetic. This is what we need in the world right now. We don't need many technocrats. We need people with humanity. So humanity, let's bring out the humanity in the world. There is too much progress already. So what we need more is humanity. Thank you so much, Lisa, for you know, giving us time, and it was absolutely wonderful talking to you. And I hope to see you again. So take good care of yourself, and Allah Hafiz.
Thank you so much. I so